Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for a deadlift day, but a quick reminder for those of you who watch these videos, please remember to click like down below, be greatly appreciated. So, as I've said before, I'm going to do a lot of beltless work right now. I'm going to throw my belt to the side, not bother with it for a little while, and I decided to just do a normal conventional deadlift today with a stiff bar instead of the deadlift bar. It makes it a little harder, and pulled it without a belt. This is the most weight I've ever pulled beltless on a stiff bar. So this is a lifetime PR, and I'm not saying I haven't pulled this or more beltless before, but never with a stiff bar, right? And I don't think I've ever done it at this body weight. So I'll take that as a win. That was obviously a max. If you guys watch it, that wasn't a training max. It was a little grindy near the top. I don't think I had much more left. At most, 5 to 10 pounds. And, that's a best case scenario. So went ahead and did back off work last deadlift day. I did 3 sets of these, but because I went beltless and because I was a little fatigued from that max, these 2 sets felt fairly challenging. I got a really good pump in my low back, and I'm like, I better just quit while I'm ahead and go to my accessory work. So I only did 2 sets of assistance. And I felt like I got a really good training response after hitting that heavy deadlift right before. Just this 2 sets of 5 on the deficit deadlifts really lit everything up. Lit everything up a lot. Like I felt the entire posterior chain. I felt my low back, even felt my core. So happy with it. I'm like, look, 2 quality sets, just some nice heavy work that will carry over directly to my deadlift, and let's get right into all the accessory work after that for assistance. And again, I should probably make more videos again explaining assistance versus accessory. I'm not always a big fan of excessive assistance work. I think some people overdo it. And I'm not against it. I just think that people don't understand that most of the benefits from it are hypertrophy. And in this case, I'm picking movements that will tend to have carryover, because assistance work has carryover, direct movement pattern carryover to the main lift, right? That's what makes it assistance. So I tend to go a little heavier on those. They tend to be lower reps, 3 to 5. And I like to pick ones that will work my weak links. Because I'm a little weaker, near the lockout on deadlifts, I tend to be really fast off the floor. I like to use deficit deadlifts. Now, a lot of people don't understand that. I've made videos in the past on it. Deficit deadlift helps lockout, right? It doesn't help you with speed, right off the floor. Okay, it doesn't. Low block pulls are better for that. Or in some cases, pause deadlifts. Now, pause deadlifts would work really good for me also, and I'm considering those as well. But I like the additional hypertrophy potential of the deficit deadlift, so that's what I'm doing. But I will point out, pause deadlifts would actually be, for my weak link, would be a really good assistance exercise. So for accessories, we did sets of 10 on supersetting the belt squats with glute ham raises. And again, I wanted to get at least 10 reps on all these, so I didn't do weighted on the glute ham raises. And on these, I'm doing the really narrow stance. If you guys notice, it looks like a narrow stance like we would do on an Olympic squat, a high bar squat, which is what I'm doing at the moment. And I'm taking them deep. I'm going ass to grass on those. Why? Because I'm trying to build quads. Okay, I'm trying to build quads. Quads are my primary focus of that exercise right now in a way that will carry over to my squatting. Now, does it mean quads are the only thing that gets hit? Of course not. I'm not doing a leg extension. It's a fantastic adductor and glute exercise. And, we could argue about that. I'm not going to get into the data and the studies on that right now, but the data tend to suggest that squats themselves are better for adductors and glutes than they are quads, including Olympic squats. But in this case, what version are we doing? We're doing a variation of the belt squat that takes us to the deepest possible knee bend. Why? It puts the quad in the most lengthened position. All right, this gives us the most potential for hypertrophy. This makes it as quad dominant as we possibly can. Okay, making it as quad dominant as possible. Keeping in mind that doesn't remove the other muscles. That's like saying, well, a closed grip bench is the most tricep dominant version of the bench. But it doesn't mean the pecs are still not a primary mover. Okay, understand the difference. But in that case, I want my quads to grow over my squatting. I think I want to go back and mess with the narrower stance squatting again. I want to go back to Olympic style squatting for a while. Again, it's just easier on certain things like my hips, right? It's just easier on certain things. I don't get that same fatigue in my hips or in my groin area. And when I think in terms of overuse, I really want to do that for a while. I think most people should try to train both at different points, just like with wider grip benching, close grip benching. I think everyone out there would benefit from doing both at different times. Same with sumo and conventional. It's just that I find that for me, I spent a year training the sumo really, really, really hard. And all it did was make my conventional go up. My sumo never got that impressive, right? But I trained it. And I think most people out there would benefit from training these different angles. Not just to find what you're best at, but to shore up some weak links. It's a good idea to at least know where you are and to be strong at different angles and have some familiarity with it. Because it gives you the ability to do it when you're getting overuse or injuries. In this case, I was feeling a lot of strain in certain areas with the squatting. So I took it over to narrower stance because I'm just as strong there because I've trained both. It doesn't matter for me personally. I'm not a really long leg lifter. I'm not a long femur lifter. I'm not forced to do the really wide stance to get the biggest lifts. I have a long torso and I have short femurs. I have a tall man's upper body, short man's legs. So that's kind of a good situation to be in for squats. It lets me squat any way that I want, to be honest. Because I'm not fighting against the leverages. So I can go with what's most comfortable for my bone structure or for my tendons and joints at any given time on my bone structure. All right, after doing those, we went over to reverse hyperextensions. And I'm sticking with what I had said recently I was going to do. I wanted, instead of pushing these really, really hard with progression like I did, which in a way beats me up, I don't get the restorative effect. I'm going back to traditional West Side type programming and percentages on these, and I'm going to stick with that a little while. And because I'm doing them last and I'm always doing other posterior chain work first, and I'm keeping these pretty strict, I'm still getting the benefit. I'm still getting the pump in those areas. I'm still feel like I'm working those areas. My low back and glutes feel these a lot. Okay, they feel them quite a bit, particularly my lower back. So since I've been going lighter and focusing on trying to get the top of the range of motion a little better, I'm finding a deeper contraction in the lumbar area, the spinal erectors. And that's okay, because this will be one of my main movements for it, because I don't do a lot of direct low back work other than deadlifting at the moment, so I'm not doing good mornings right now. So again, this covers the load for that. And then, of course, we finish up with abs. So I chose to do one just really long set of standing band crunches today instead of leg raises. And I got to 100-ish or more reps. You just count at a certain point. And again, I like standing ab work. And the reason is, and I've said this a decade ago on YouTube and on other formats, the reason is, when you think about it, most of the time, when do we need our abs? When do we use our abs in any sport? Whether it's powerlifting, boxing, football, contact sport, you tend to be on your feet when you get hit in the guts, right? Well, it's a good idea to train your abs while you're standing on your feet. Same thing when we're squatting or deadlifting, right? We're on our feet. We're driving into the floor. I don't think it's a bad idea to replicate that on our ab work. Am I saying it's the best situation for ab development? No, it probably doesn't matter. Is it a little bit more sport specific for most of us? Yes. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.